Rats. Rats. Thousands. Millions of them.
Okay, I'm going to start this video off with a comment, something I commented on maybe 2 weeks ago. It'll be in the description box. And he responded, and you'll see me not honor his request. I ignored it, and I'll show you why later. Now, the first clip I'm going to start off with is of a dude named Skylar Fiction, the dude whose mock request I ignored, because his inquiry was not genuine, and I'll show you why later. And I've been subbed to Skylar for maybe 6-7 years. I've watched a bunch of his stuff, and I'll comment every blue moon, right? And later I'm going to talk about critical race theory again. But let me build up with Skylar first.
What's up, Raptor Bates? Welcome to the Skylar Fiction Show, where all your dreams come true. And we got a political episode today that I'm going to talk about some topics going on down here in my home state of Florida. And I may review a little bit of a debate I watched between Sargon of Akkad, I forgot, Sargon, we'll say, and Sitch from whatever the fuck that shitty show is. This Sitch and Adam show. I'm not a big fan of Adam Friend it. What I really want to talk about today is this Florida, what we're calling it, the Don't Say Gay bill. And I would be, like we already got people in here saying I'm queer and I'm also support the anti-grooming, anti-parents' rights bill. Listen, I'll have you in here if you want to have a conversation and talk about it. You let me know in the comments. We can have a discussion if somebody does not agree with my opinions on this. But I want to set some of the records straight for those of you who don't live in Florida, may not understand what this bill is. And let's start. Where do we even go with it? Where do we start? Let's start by saying this is a bill that nobody needed, right? This was a bill that nobody was calling for, that we had no problem with in the state of Florida.
The first deception he pulls was to pretend that bills have only been drawn up or drafted after something is already going on. Bills are only in response to something and never drafted as a preventative measure. He pretends that no state should be able to see what's been going on in other states and even in other countries. Right? And I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he doesn't know that bills can be drafted before something happens. No benefit of the doubt, because he was being deceptive the entire time. Even in the video he did after the one I just showed you.
Kids, they're imaginative, they're all about play, they haven't been baked into, society's norms and expectations. So I think to them, things like being fluid with their identities comes really naturally.
Or in other words, since kids haven't been baked into being normal yet, what we're going to do is mold them in our image. Or in other words, since kids haven't developed yet, we'll attempt to shape them into what we want them to be. A dude in makeup and in a dress says this. Or in other words, we're going to do what we can to warp kids' brains into thinking that being normal is not natural. Right, let me stick this in here while I'm thinking about it, right? And pardon the noise. There's going to be a way bit of noise up in there. I got some fish in there. I'm about to go all the way in on these sand dabs. You probably can hear it. But it's something that I want people to pay attention to, because this is the same deception I talked about with the critical race theory people, okay? Okay, proponents of critical race theory yelling, but it's not in schools. In protest of the opponents of critical race theory saying, get that out of our schools, or we don't want that in our schools. Okay, and I'm thinking, why get mad at people saying that if it's not in schools, nor do you plan to put it in schools? If that's not on your agenda, then why get mad at people protesting against something that doesn't exist? You'll see Skylar doing that same thing. But again, if it's not happening, nor are there any plans to put it in schools, then don't be upset at bills to make sure that it doesn't get in schools then. And I I didn't just think to go back 2 weeks ago to respond to this. I'm responding because of something I saw today. And I'll get to that at the end of this video. But when I saw it, Skylar popped up in my head. But let me show you his next deception.
Right. This was a bill that nobody was calling for, that we had no problem with in the state of Florida. Right. Most people out there, if you have any common sense, you'll understand Florida is not a super liberal state. We're not a far left state. We used to be considered a swing state. I don't know. We seem to become actually more conservative, I think, in the last decade or so. But I want to point that out first. So it isn't like we're having some kind of weird cases of teachers stepping out of the bounds of what they typically do between kindergarten and the third grade. All right. So what I like to call is it's basically they created a straw man, basically almost a straw man argument and fought against it. Right.
And fought against it, he said. But the part about how he said teachers are not doing anything out of bounds of what they typically do, he's lying.
All right. So what I like to call is it's basically they created a straw man, basically almost a straw man argument and fought against it. Right. And they made legislation that not only is going to screw up our school systems with being able to sue teachers and things like that, because they purposely wrote this bill very, very vague. Okay. And the reason is they want people to sue. They want these teachers getting sued. There's this constant battle between public schools and conservatives, Republicans, who constantly just want to dismantle them, not fund them, right? And give all the money to charter schools. And I'm not against charter schools. My kids are in a charter school. But priorities here. So let's talk more about this. So we're talking about this Don't Say Gay bill. And the whole reason it was created is because the Republicans don't have an agenda. They don't have anything they're for. They just promote stuff that socially divides us, like abortion. They go after their Christian conservative base. They get them riled up and create problems that don't exist, right? Because they want to convince you that the liberals, the left, is trying to groom children, just like this little quote right here, right? That the left is trying to groom your children for pedophilia. That they're trying to teach your kids all about, deep, dark sexual secrets in kindergarten.
Deep, dark secrets in kindergarten. He did that a few times. Deep, dark secrets in kindergarten. He did that a few times in that video. And I forget what that's called. It might be called gaslighting. I don't know. I just know that there's a name for what he did, where he basically tried to lessen it by making it sound comical that people are thinking that something is going on, where he tries to make what's going on and obvious out to be, a figment of your imagination. There's a description for what that's called. I just can't remember what it is. And later, we'll talk secrets too. Right? That thing he said about secrets, we're going to talk about that later. But let me show you what I mean by trying to gaslight, if that's what it's called. I don't know. This was the video he did afterwards.
Like, these are left-wing policies that are happening right now that we want to pass, but the Republicans won't. Like, I mean, what did they just do today? There was another thing they just did where they were going for the gas tax, where the Democrats were willing to cut the gas tax that's, I believe, from the federal government, and the Republicans are like, no, we're not cutting the tax. This would have directly lowered the prices of gasoline, and the Republicans every time do the same thing. They just vote. They don't stand for anything besides building a wall and getting the immigrants, making sure there's not enough immigrants in this country. That's the truth. That's the thing is, like, this is what we're dealing with, right? This is what I talked about yesterday down here in Florida. The Don't Say Gay bill. The bill that fights imaginary crime that's happening. We want to think that like all these kindergarten and kindergarten or third grade teachers are out there in Florida.
The bill that fights imaginary crime. You know, these kindergarten and third grade teachers are out there, right? I don't know if that's called gaslighting, but if it's not, I just know that there's a word to describe that. And there is a place and a time to make fun of someone's ideas in that way, but you're being deceptive when you're trying to do it to make people think that nothing is going on.
Excuse me. All right, move on. Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Nothing to see here, please.
Rather than get straight to the video that got me on here, I want to build up to it because I want to show people the deceptions, because the deceptions are how they've been able to get as far as they have.
Deep, dark sexual secrets in kindergarten. Like, folks, who sets the agenda for Florida schools? Right? Is it not Florida that sets some of the agenda for these schools? Is it part of the Florida agenda that we're teaching children about gender identity in kindergarten, first or second, third grade? We're not, right?
We're not, he said. I want people to put a mental bookmark on that. Who sets the agenda? And we're not. Put a pin in that for me. All right, I'm going to show you what he did. And I've talked about it before a few months ago. And all of the clips I'm going to play you from him is within the first 8 minutes of his video.
Right? Is it not Florida that sets some of the agenda for these schools? Is it part of the Florida agenda that we're teaching children about gender identity in kindergarten, first or second, third grade? We're not, right? This is what I'm talking about. It's distractions. Recently in Florida, because our governor loves to just go against the will of the people down here. I'll give you just a couple examples real quick, just to show you time. So just to give you an idea, in Florida, we as voters in the last few elections voted on a couple topics. And our government immediately, Ron DeSantis, the guy who's going to be running for the Republican presidential nomination here next election against Donald Trump. One was we voted on medical marijuana. And instantly, what our Florida government tried to do was limit the kinds of marijuana we were allowed to have. And they instantly put in high fees and all these regulations to where we have to pay so much in order to even apply for a medical marijuana card down here. You have to do, for instance, it's good for 7 months. So if I pay $180, which is the cost to go to a doctor in the state of Florida, because you can't go to your normal doctor, you have to go to a certain state certified doctor. This is all part of the scam, folks. You have to go to a certified doctor every 7 months for $180. Recently, our legislation was going to pass a bill that would stop that. You'd have to go once a year. It would have saved us half the money here if you're a medical marijuana patient. What does our Florida governor do? Nah, I'm not going to save you Florida residents any money. What we'll do is we'll focus on a bill that says don't talk about gay people. Don't use the word gay, teachers, or we'll sue you. Right? This is what the Republicans do, folks.
It's distractions, he said. Or in other words, he pulls the old "aren't there children starving in Africa" routine. Or when you say, hey, why are you harassing me? Yeah, I'm doing 60 miles per hour in the 30 mile per hour zone, but why don't you go out and catch the real criminals? Ain't there somebody out there getting raped or something right now? Why are you pulling me over? Right, there are more important things to worry about routine. It's to lessen what the situation at hand is, and even to shift the focus in a different direction. Right? The deceptions that I'm talking about. Right? How you heard him bring up how much it costs to smoke weed. Then he went on to talk about mask mandates. Then proceeded to spend the remaining 1 hour and 20 minutes talking about how evil the Republican Party is, which is true. But it becomes deceptive when you're pointing them out in order to get people to not point at what devils are trying to do to people's kids in schools. right? And he did the same thing in the other video where he had the red shirt on. He just deflected onto Republicans.
And the Republicans every time do the same thing. They just vote. They don't stand for anything besides building a wall and getting the immigrants, making sure there's not enough immigrants in this country. That's the truth. That's the thing is, like, this is what we're dealing with, right? This is what I talked about yesterday down here in Florida. The Don't Say Gay bill. The bill that fights imaginary crime that's happening. We want to think that, like, all these kindergarten or third grade teachers are out there in Florida, where Ron DeSantis is our governor and our Republican legislators who are the majority, right? Who set a lot of the school criteria. That what do we think that they're telling these teachers to sit there and teach gender identity at that age? Is this part of the curriculum that we have at schools? No, it was a made-up bill to distract and be like, hey, Christians, look, we're fighting so you don't have to worry about the transgender kids in the school. And we don't want these evil teachers trying to teach your kids that there are gay people, right? It's absurd. It's not happening. Like, maybe if you talk somewhere like California, right?
Did you catch that last part? We don't want these evil teachers teaching your kids that there are gay people. Skylar know what's been happening. He know. That's why I won't give him the benefit of the doubt. He know. Right? And he went on to say, yeah, in places like California, right, but not here in Florida. Pretended that bills have never been preemptive. But you heard him say, it's not in the curriculum. As if it needs to be in the curriculum before teachers can teach it. That's a lie. Is it in the curriculum? That's what he's asking. That's why I didn't honor Skylar's request. You'll see it on the comment board. He asked me to give him some examples, and I know better than that. I'm not going to bite that hook. Absolutely not. No, you ain't finna put no I know exactly what he was finna do. You ain't finna put no leash around my neck and walk me around the car. I know what he was finna do. No, absolutely not. I didn't answer him. All right. Let me show you how I know better.
Let's bring in GLAAD President and CEO Sarah Kate Ellis. Sarah Kate, always good to have you with us. You know, some of the lawmakers behind this bill, their argument is kids have their whole lives to sort out their sexual orientation or gender identity, so they don't need to have those conversations now. How do you respond to that?
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. That was a very emotional piece for me, actually. I am a parent, a gay parent, and I have 13-year-old twins. And so seeing what's unfolding, we're not talking about sexual orientation, gender identity in kindergarten. This is not about that. Show me a curriculum that does that. This is a solution to a problem that doesn't exist.
Where is it in the curriculum, she asked. Why? Well, because she knows that it doesn't have to be in the curriculum. Now, I asked people to put a mental bookmark in Skylar asking who sets the agenda, and we're not. We're not, as in Florida doesn't have it in the curriculum. Now, I'm going to show you some more of, the lady asking, where is it in the curriculum? I'm going to show you some more. Let me say this first. Now, I wouldn't have caught this myself because sometimes I'm not watching the video. I'm just listening to it while I'm doing something else. And this time, the something else was me looking through the comment section while the video was playing. And lo and behold, somebody in the comment section said, hey, did y'all notice that? Let me show you what that person saw because I wasn't looking.
So they don't need to have those conversations now. How do you respond to that?
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. That was a very emotional piece for me, actually. I am a parent, a gay parent, and I have 13-year-old twins. And so seeing what's unfolding, we're not talking about sexual orientation, gender identity in kindergarten. This is not about that. Show me a curriculum that does that. This is a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. And this is a politician who is creating division within a school that doesn't need to be created. Families or kids like mine who have two moms, now when they say, draw us a picture of your family, they cannot draw a picture of their family. This is about ostracizing, shaming LGBTQ kids and their families.
Right after you asked, show me in the curriculum, the host puts up a map where it's been happening at. And you know what? I think that was the host's way of calling her a liar, because why put that up when it directly contradicts what the lady was trying to say? Right, and I know I still haven't got to the video I saw today that prompted me to do this video. I'm just pointing out the deception and this devilishment. You know, like when I attack these counterfeit pro-blacks on here, and their response to me has been, Mad Head Doctor hates us because we love black people. Mad Head Doctor don't like black people, don't like pro-blacks because we want to empower black people. Then I ask, how could you have a problem with us wanting to see black people do better? You know, they'll make what they are into the most pristine and most beneficial thing to black people ever, like these people do.
Flagpole at Rutherford Borough Hall will be getting some extra color. The local Pride Alliance asked that a rainbow flag go up for Pride Month, but some residents are against it. An online petition from a group called Rutherford United and its leader, Christopher Moore, questions, will the council now allow any group to repaint a crosswalk or fly a flag? Why is one group given preference over another? If one group is allowed to make these changes, then others will follow? The LGBTQ community originally asked to paint a crosswalk rainbow colors, then changed the request. The opposition says flying the pride flag will only foster division. Councilwoman Maria Begg Robertson calls the flag the pinnacle of inclusivity.
The rainbow flag is a symbol of love and progress. Why wouldn't you want to celebrate love and progress between two consenting adults?
See like that. It's about love and progress. How could anyone have a problem with that? That's what people do. They'll make their thing into the most pristine and the most purest of sweet, wholesome goodness you could ever imagine. Then they ask, how could you have a problem with that? This is what they're doing with critical race theory. What's wrong with teaching American history? What's wrong with it is it's a lot of devilishment within it, including this child touching stuff. I'm not going to use the G word. I'll just call it child touching stuff.
The mandates, all the mandates, and the woman dates. School curriculum. Oh, God. Here we go with the critical race theory stuff. Hold everything, guys. I'm so tired of hearing this. No kids in elementary school or high school are taught critical race theory. It's a grad school level skill set, and it's part of grad school level curriculums. But no one cared, no one listened, no one believed it.
Remember I played that a few months ago? That's the same old, it's not in the curriculum. Where is it in the curriculum? Then proceeds to accidentally acknowledge that it is being taught in schools. I told people that critical race theory is not just history lessons. Let me show you what I saw. Let me go ahead on and show you what I saw today that got me talking right now.
A few things that's going on, and one of the things that's going on is this, these things that are happening in the school with this one school that has, the mayor has actually made a declaration against the school for mayor charges the school, actually tells the school basically to resign, these people who are on the board to resign because of the I don't know why I don't have a picture there for you, but because of the pornographic, sexually explicit type materials that are being shown to children. And it says the Ohio mayor on Monday confronted the school board over sexual inappropriate writings and prompts and students were given in class. It says informing the board member they can either resign or face potential charges of child pornography. And basically what was said is that it is actually covered in this video here. And they kind of talk about it in the video. Let me just let you hear what they say here in this particular assignment that was given to students. And go ahead and let's see if we can roll this here.
Sarah Shookman explains the outrage and what's being done now.
642 Things to Write About is a paperback journal that's been used to supplement a senior writing course in Hudson for the last 5 years. But this week, a number of the prompts got parents' attention.
Write a sex scene you wouldn't show your mom. Rewrite the sex scene from above into one that you'd let your mom read. Drink a beer. Write about the taste. Write an X-rated Disney scenario. I hope each and every one of you is as uncomfortable as I am after reading that.
I was appalled when my wife read to me a few nights ago what our kids were being exposed to.
A handful of parents and students spoke up at Monday's school board meeting.
The first day we got it, within 10 minutes of us getting this book, all of us around the room had already found the things out.
Hudson's Mayor Craig Schubert took it a step further, calling it a crime.
It has come to my attention that your educators are distributing essentially what is child pornography. So I'm going to give you a simple choice. You either choose to resign from this Board of Education or you will be charged. Thank you.
A district spokeswoman says the book is one of several used in a College Credit Plus course taught by a Hudson teacher working alongside Hiram College. To register their students, parents must sign a form indicating mature content might be discussed. The school responded, though, collecting all the books and investigating if any other consequences are coming, but board members won't be stepping down. President David Zuro sent us a statement saying in part, "While we respect the mayor's position within the city of Hudson, the supervision of the public schools of this district is the responsibility of the Board of Education. And at this time, no Board of Education member has indicated any intention to resign."
Well, it's not clear if any crime was committed. None of those topics had been assigned to students, but Russ, the district is looking into its process for approving such books as supplemental materials, as they call them. And we did hear back from the mayor today, who said he was too busy with some other duties to talk with us, but he would make time next week.
But it's not being taught in schools, they say. I'm going to put a few of my previous videos about this stuff in the description box. Right, because this is not just about people wanting to be treated fairly. They want a lot more than that. They want a lot of things in addition to that, including people's kids. They want them too. Now, Skylar said something about secrets. All right, we're about to talk secrets. Let's talk secrets. Right, I'm going to play you something from Rumble. It's InfoWars, Alex Jones' crew out there. And I had to go to Rumble to get this too. But this Alex Jones crew out in front of a school.
And then to the right of me, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a playground. And it was just so sad sitting here waiting to come to you in the car, watching these children in the playground and realizing these are such tiny babies. Like, these are kids, and they're trying to push this agenda on them. They're trying to talk about sexual preference. I mean, we're talking in 4 years old, because the documents show pre-K to second grade is where it starts. Their guidelines. 4 years old, and you're trying to talk about sexual preferences and gender identity. I mean, these kids literally, in many cases, don't even know how to read yet.
I mean, since when is Pride Week a thing? I mean, I guess I haven't been in school for some time, but you've got young kids. Since when is Pride Week even a thing?
Oh, and there is an outright obsession by these people to push this into every facet. Let me remind you that this is Women's History Month. And they have put that on the sign here, but they have permeated and taken over Women's History Month. They've permeated and taken over Black History Month. And always you'll see now with these months and these advertisements, they'll put like the gay or transgender flag with it too. And it's like, wait a minute, you're taking over these months too? Yeah, you're just going to take over everything? So it's really insane. But as many of our viewers probably saw, the documents that were basically guides to the teachers on how to approach this week and a whole week. We really needed a whole entire week for this. But the guides, they originally said for the pre-K, as young as 4 years old, up to age 6, pre-K through 2, 6 or 7, it originally said respect privacy. What we say in this room stays in this room. Gosh, that sounds like something you would hear in Vegas. What happens here stays here. But now they're bringing that kind of philosophy straight into the elementary school. Now, apparently, because of the backlash, they have updated that. So it says what we say in this room stays in this room, but it's okay to tell your parents, which is contradictory to the first thing that you said. They also had these guidelines for grades 3 to 5. Please remember that we agreed to keep what happened in this circle confidential. So they're literally encouraging kids to have these conversations. Would you?
Oh, here we go. Somebody coming
We
in.
don't have any children on Facebook.
Somebody harassing you now?
Well, do you want to give a comment about your Pride Week and pushing the gender ideology on the children? Well, I mean, I'm looking right here at the guidelines, and apparently you updated this, but it says what we say in this room stays in this room. And then apparently you updated it to say that parents could be notified, like if you're giving the teachers permission to let the kids tell their parents what's going on. But I mean, this sounds like something that you would say in Vegas. Like, why are we doing this for kids as young as pre-K, first grade? So I did that. Apparently updated to say teacher will say okay to share with parents after backlash.
People, what is one of the things that a child toucher tells a child that they've been messing with? Don't tell anyone. Right? Ain't that's what they tell them? Don't tell anyone. That's not just in Austin, Texas either. Different places, teachers are telling students not to tell their parents. And that was the assistant principal you saw out there. And the preacher I showed you, the brother that showed the clip of what they were doing in school and the mayor speaking out and stuff like that, telling people to resign and whatnot. Now, how I ended up on Rumble. Well, the preacher was doing that live, and he went to show people what he was talking about and discovered that those sites had been removed that had the stuff from Texas on it. He was doing that live. He's like, hey, wait a minute. Right? Well, I'm putting it in my own words and everything. He's like, hey, this stuff is gone. It's not even here no more. And I went and searched YouTube, couldn't find it. Searched Google, couldn't find it. And said, well, let me go over to Rumble. And there it was. They're trying to hide this stuff. Stuff I had saved in my bookmarks and stuff I've already shown in other videos. Went back to check on them, gone. All kinds of deceptive tactics they're using. Wordage like intersectionality and equity. Or it's not in the curriculum. Show me in the curriculum. Show me where it's in the curriculum. All deceptions. And they have to hide it. Like if you got a cat or a dog that you want to take some pills and that they're not going to take it. They ain't going to eat them pills. So you mix it into their food.